Redditors who work in adult stores, what is the most NSFW thing you have found or a customer has done? If you work in a sex shop, is anything NSFW in the first place? A little late to the game, but my wife used to work at an adult store when we first started dating. She has lots of stories, both creepy and funny, but this is my favorite. The store she worked at was open until the bars closed, so she often dealt with drunks leaving the nearby bars. One night a middle-aged guy walked in and was looking to rent a DVD. After asking my wife a few questions and putting on a super creepy vibe, he picks a couple porns to rent. While she is ringing him up, the guy starts inspecting some skimpy lingerie on display near the cash register. After a few minutes he says, "You would look pretty good in something like this. Would you ever wear it?" Now, my wife has a really sharp wit and doesn't put up with much it. So without missing a beat she replies, "So, if I wore that my D would hang out." The guy's eyes got real wide and he just turns around and walks out, leaving his money and DVDs behind. A friend of mine used to work in one. One of his co-workers used to ride their bike to work and would often store it in one of the booths. They would clean these booths multiple times a day with gloves and bleach for obvious reasons. Well, my friend went to clean the booth where the bike was stored and proceeded to grab the bike handle while kneeling down to clean the floor, and his hand slipped off the handle. Some dude, who had just been there, lubed up the bike handle and was using it for some bad pleasure. One afternoon I saw a fist fight in an adult cinema. My local porno store had a small cinema out the back. I was a little drunk, so I paid my $5 and in I went. The place reeked of cum and disinfectant. I walked in right as the fight was breaking out. A couple in their mid-40s had decided to duck in the cinema. When all the dudes in the cinema gathered round to watch, the husband didn't like the close attention. He started shoving the nearest guy and they threw a few punches at each other as his wife yelled at them. The guy behind the counter came in and calmed things down. The couple left, and one of the peep show girls told the husband off. "If you duck in an adult cinema, of course people are gonna want to watch." The funniest part though, one guy in the cinema didn't stop beating off throughout the whole ordeal. Lol. A friend in college worked at an adult bookstore, late 90s, early zeros. They had a rash of people renting XXX VHS tapes, recording over them with Back to the Future, and returning them. Lots of pissed off renters coming back with tapes adulterated to be unadult rated. I worked part-time in this video rental store that had porno flicks. The store was set up in a way that the children's movies were at the front, where you can see them from the street. Kids could even come in. The porno stuff was around a corner, 180 degrees through a door, and you had to get past me first. Well, this also means that I do not have total view of the porno racks at all times. Not even when I'm at the counter, which you have to pass to get there. There was a guy who would come in and jizz on the covers of DVDs, then put them back in the shelf, but not up front, so you could see there was jizz on it. He always put them in second, or 3 deep, so you could only discover the jizz trap by sorting through them. Ducker was eventually caught. God, I so wish I could have been witness to that. But it wasn't my shift. Most cliche thing about it, he wore a brown trench coat most of the time he came in. Closed up the front, like an exhibitionist from the movies. Oh. And the girl working there, 18 and still in school, was shown a D-pic on her phone. The guy asked her if they had any porno with dicks like this. It was his own D, sticking out of his own pants, with his shoes and his shirt, all of which he was currently wearing on the photo. Not me, but someone I knew who worked at a sex shop. One day a lady came in and asked to see the baignoire balls, basically metal balls that you put up the V. They were in a counter, and so he put them on top of the counter. She throws her leg up and puts one right in. I remember a buddy of mine who went into a sex shop with a pair of calipers on hand to measure out the diameter of dildos, mainly because he planned on using them as projectiles for his grenade launcher during airsoft games. Best part is he told the lady at the counter his intentions for the dildo. She said that launching them will hurt like hell. He didn't believe it because he thought that can be changed by adjusting the CO2 pressure of the grenade shell. Let's just say after some extensive testing, i.e. shooting each other with it at different C. We found out that getting hit by a dildo will knock you off your feet and break a windshield of a car. Guy returns the VHS tape without rewinding it. I had a customer passed out from some drugs on the shift before mine, and my co-workers forgot he was in the arcade. Later that night, while I was working and watching slasher movies to pass the time, I heard a noise in the arcade. No one has come in for 3 hours at this point. I'm freaked, but I have to go check it out. I go into the arcade with my flashlight and yell, "Anybody back here?" Out jumps this crackhead butt naked and screaming. He runs past me through the fire exit and into the night. I later found a crack pipe, a wallet with some cash, and his clothes. Scared me like no other time in my life. It was about 4:30 am. I was tired. I tilted my chair back and rested my head on the shelves. I would just rest my eyes a bit. No. Of course I wouldn't sleep. There was no one in the store. Just when I started to drift off to dreamland, I hear a loud bang. My mind is trying to think of what could have made that huge noise. I open my eyes to see every dildo in the store flying in the air. So, a pickup truck had slid through the intersection and slammed into the outside wall of the shop. The wall on which racks and racks of dildos. I have never been more befuddled than in the first seconds after I opened my eyes. That's my favorite story. There are far many more gross ones. Okay, story time. Had a friend that worked at a Sex store in Canada. She told me this amazing story of a break-in they had. So they show up to work one morning and the glass door in the back has been smashed by a cinder block, so no alarms have gone off. The two that opened the store go to the security camera footage to see what happened. They start watching this skinny black kid, no more than 18 or so, crawl in through the hole he made in the glass. He walks around the store looking like he's looking for something and doesn't even head to the register. The guy goes straight to the ducking super expensive real doll section. Grabs a bottle of lube off the shelf and proceeds to duck 3 to 4 different toys, including a $600 perfect pussy and a $2,000 real doll. Guy does his thing, finishes up, and just leaves through the hole he made. Story goes the cops recognized him and picked him up a couple days later. Because of the damage to the door and all the expensive it he literally ducked up, they charged him with damages over $5,000 lol. TL. DR. Guy breaks into Sex shop, ducks a bunch of really expensive dolls and pussies, gets caught on tape and charged by police. People jerking off in the rentals room. People returning tape smeared with lube and God knows what else. But my all-time favorite was when I ordered Chinese food delivered there. And this sweet little old Asian man delivered it. He had never been in a pawn shop before. And was like a kid in a candy store. He was asking what everything was and how it worked. And there was lots of laughter till we got to the dildo wall and he suddenly got furious. He pointed at this super small realistic dildo. Think size of a finger. And he starts yelling angrily, "What is this question mark?" I immediately took it to a racial place in my mind, thinking he thought it was an Asian dildo. But then he yells, "You sell dildos for children question mark?" I laughed and explained that men and women just have many strange tastes for dildos. But that we only sell to adults. Awkward. I have a friend that works at a sex shop. One of the chillest people I know. He's told us lots of stories. He frequently takes pictures of the weird stock they get in and shows it to us, as well as the dumb names of the movies they get in. The story that stood out the most was when he told us a couple came in. It was a guy at least 6'5" and a little girl in a sundress, of age. Just small, no bigger than 4'10". They apparently asked for the largest dildo in stock. Bought it and left. It was like 14 or 16 inches. Totally absurd. One of my organ students worked in an adult store during college. He was also a part-time church organist. And always concerned that someone from church might spot him there. He told me that he decided to quit because a customer brought back a used dildo and wanted to exchange it for something more satisfying. The customer made a scene when told that he couldn't exchange used merchandise. Mine is NSFW in 2 ways. Some guy tried to return a used vibrator. We did not take returns because, well, come on. Do you want a refurbished vibrator? Anyway. This guy started screaming at my manager over a $30 vibrator that his wife broke with her V, and he wanted another one without paying for it. When my manager explained to him we don't take returns and would need him to pay for the new one, he threw the used vibrator at my manager's head, which she managed to duck, grabbed the new vibe and booked it to the door. My manager did the dumb thing and followed the guy out of the store, while angrily yelling to the police on the phone. She planned to get the guy's license plate number to report him. He ended up trapping her in the front lobby by blocking the door with his foot, while she is still reporting his description to the police. He then proceeded to grab her by the throat, throw her against the glass, grab and twist her breasts, then run out of the store with his new vibrator. Commenter where his wife was in the car, watching the whole thing, and screaming for him to get in so they could go. TLDR. Dude committed an armed robbery with a used vibrator. Proceeded to sexually assault a manager to escape. Wife was the getaway driver. Best comment of the day. Last relationship was toxic, and I have an incurable disease. Rather focus on myself, even when I get better. Plus I love dancing with cute girls without any expectations.